Under the scope. Hey everybody, Jared and Shane, that's me, that's Jared, we're here, and we are back with another Scope movie review.
I'm driving.
We're on the road. It's a brisk night here in suburb of Minneapolis, and we're here to bring you a review of the latest film from the Wachowski brothers.
Brothers? Come on.
And sister, brother and sister. It's Jupiter Ascending, Jared.
Jupiter Ascending.
A giant sci-fi epic.
As you recall, this was bumped from its July 2014 slot, rescheduled into February 2015. One has to wonder why that happened, Shane.
Well, I think we're going to get into that in a second. Before we get into the evisceration, please tell us who...
No. You're telegraphing our punches now. Come on.
I can't hide it, Jared.
All right.
I can't hide it. The movie stars...
Channing
Tatum.
Mila Kunis. You got a Sean Bean in there. You got an Eddie Redmayne.
And that's all you need to know.
You got Tatiana Maslany's mom from Orphan Black, also playing her mother. What else?
A lot of others.
A bunch of other people.
A lot of CGI characters, maybe some people in costumes. I don't really know. I don't really care. Jared, please.
Oof.
You know, okay, so I'm not going to... We've often had issues with trying to sort of describe the plots of some convoluted movies, and this one might have the most convoluted plot.
Well, if you've watched the trailer...
Why don't you just break it down?
Most recent trailers. Okay, so Mila Kunis is Jupiter Jones. She is sort of the... I don't know, they go to a whole bunch of background stuff that isn't really important.
Yeah.
Basically, she's the daughter of Russian immigrants.
Yeah.
There's a Russian family. She's working as a housekeeper for the family business.
It's a terrible life, Jared.
Doesn't like her life.
Terrible life.
But it turns out she's no ordinary human. She is destined for greatness.
Yeah.
And it turns out that humans, we didn't start here.
No.
Our planet's been seeded by aliens for various purposes that I won't get into because I don't want to spoil it in case you really want to get out there and see this.
It doesn't matter.
But, very early in the film, what is his name? Kane Wise, the sort of wolf-man hybrid,
We've got
played by Channing Tatum. He shows up on the scene. Apparently, he's been sent to retrieve her for one of the trio of Abraxas. It's not Abraxas. It's similar to Abraxas. I've already forgotten the name.
It's the top of the chain alien people.
These
are
the family. They're called entitled. They are the top of the chain when it comes to aliens. All resources flow to them. There is a trio of them, brothers, two brothers and a sister.
Yep.
Balen, Titus, and Kilik.
I can't even believe that you've even let that information stay in your
They're
brain.
all sort of vying for ownership of various planets because the planets have resources. There's a lot of capitalism stuff going on.
A lot of underlying nastiness.
Yeah, they all have their sort of own ways. They all have interest in Jupiter. Eddie Redmayne.
And why do they have interest in her, Jared? You're forgetting the key point.
Because she is what is called a recurrence. She is the exact same genetic pattern as their mother.
Yeah, which I guess happens from time to time.
Apparently, it happens.
I don't really understand how that works. It just does.
She's royalty, and it is basically the Earth is hers to inherit because when we're doing big sci-fi, the Earth always has to be at the center of everything.
And it seems to be very important. And they don't really make it clear why it is, but it is. It's very important.
So the takeaway is there's a bunch of different political factions vying for control. And stuff happens.
And they want her share of the fun.
Yes. They either want her entitlements or they want her dead or stuff. Things.
Yes.
2 hours.
So, Jared, if I were riding on the Wachowski train,
yes,
I would be pulling the cord frantically to get off of that train at this point. The Wachowskis are sort of like the Dexys Midnight Runners of the movie world. They had a great...
Well, you haven't seen Cloud Atlas.
They had, as far as I'm concerned, they had one great hit, and everything else, maybe they might have a minor hit or two, but they peaked with The Matrix, and they've never been able to come close since. And this movie was an unmitigated disaster, in my opinion. It was a hodgepodge of science fiction themes. It was a hodgepodge of themes they've covered before. It had terrible acting.
I don't even know. I wouldn't even give it credit to have themes. I think it was a pretty... I mean, I thought this was going to be a pretty complicated, sort of really hard to understand story. It ended up being kind of a plain Jane, boring story.
Yeah, I mean, it was...
With a lot of science fiction tropes and window dressing.
Yeah. It was sometimes confusing because sometimes I couldn't understand what they were saying. And sometimes it was just due to bad editing. It was due to...
this film, I think part of the reason it was postponed is because it needed to go through some editing. However, it's very possible they cut out too much or they cut out the wrong stuff.
Yeah.
Because...
Or they knew it was terrible.
There are pacing problems throughout. So the film starts out... I thought there was, like, some of the early action scenes were actually sort of interesting. Yeah. And I wasn't really ready to dismiss the film outright.
I feel the same way.
Although a lot of it was it's a problem with some modern action is because you can move the camera wherever you want.
Yep.
You end up with these swooping camera angles, and you get a lot of spray and pray artillery going on. And it's just like all you can do is look at the spectacle without really understanding what's going on.
It's sort of a Michael Bay-esque action type scene.
Once we leave Earth,
all bets are off.
Everything goes off the rails completely. It turns into a sort of a bureaucratic comedy for a bit there.
That's the scene.
Very strange.
A scene where, we can sort of talk about it, where she's going through. She's trying to essentially register herself.
She's got to get her title in place,
and so she's going from office to office. And they would say things like, "You need Form 42B." This. I mean, it was something you would see out of a comedy. 1980s comedy.
It's compelling.
And where she's going from office to office and not being able to get anything, it just was bizarre.
Yeah, and then
it was bizarre.
And then at some point they inject a love story which came out of nowhere.
Yep.
There's no motivation for it. I can only assume that anything leading up to that was lost in the editing. I gotta get over it with your super bright LED headlights.
Or they just decided to have it because that's what is expected.
Well, I mean, I guess it's sort of crucial when it comes to Kane's motivation, but it's not earned, it's not developed.
It's just there.
It's just there.
And for 2 hours, it needs to be more than just there.
Right.
I mean, it mixes a visual looks, taking nods from The Matrix from time to time. It takes nods from the original Flash Gordon with some of the terrible costume designs. It takes nods from certain video games like Mass Effect, some of the ship designs.
It's all over the place. I mean, you've got humanoids, you've got androids, you've got
elephant men, you've got dragon men.
Aliens that have been apparently genetically modified and repurposed for other things. It's just... Oh, goodness. It's too much. There's too much out there.
Is it Eddie Redmayne?
Eddie Redmayne.
Eddie Redmayne, I'm telling you.
Yes.
If this movie would have come out before A Theory of Everything, he probably would not be nominated for an Oscar.
Well, I don't know about that. He was the best part of the movie.
He was bizarre, Jared.
I know, and that was why I enjoyed him.
He had this weird, I just was in a fire and my lip is burnt and stretched out. I don't understand
I thought he was fascinating. Anytime he was on screen, I was fascinated by Eddie Redmayne's
character. I was fascinated by the acting choices that he made. And boy, oh boy.
At least he was acting. Let's talk about the acting.
It was rough, Jared.
Channing Tatum, I like him, but this role gives him no chance to use any of his charm.
He's not charismatic.
I mean, he's wooden.
He needs to be a big, dopey frat boy on Earth. He doesn't need to be a half wolf, half solar surfing. Yeah, we didn't even talk about that. His roller skating boots.
I mean, can you fly or can you not fly? He's skating through the sky.
He's got these boots where he is literally speed skating through the sky.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
It was crazy. Crazy.
Mila Kunis?
She did Mila Kunis, but she was terrible.
She was bad.
She's not a great actress. I'm sorry.
One note. I thought she was good in Black Swan, but maybe I was mistaken. I need to go back and maybe see that again.
Well, she wasn't great in Ted.
No.
She was just sort of playing herself. And maybe it's just the material, but I thought that she was...
There were so many opportunities for her to actually show some genuine emotion and feel like she's present, but she's just there delivering lines, honestly. Yeah. It's not...
I think people were lost filming this movie. Like, what are we into? What is this about? What is my motivation?
Yeah. This feels like a film that's been through the blender and reassembled and...
The special effects, Jared.
Yeah.
Interesting with this film. A lot of it takes place in other places, other worlds that are completely created. So you sort of have that issue of how do we ground this in reality? And it just doesn't work a lot of the time. You know, we've seen a lot of great films recently where you feel like the effects were present. I mean, or you were just in a real living, breathing world. This one did not have that.
I thought they made some decent attempts at sort of world building, but the problem is there's no time to explain all of these locations and these crazy.
You're going back and forth.
What? Oh, whoa! Woo-hoo.
You're going back and forth. You're seeing crazy different ships. Just so much going on. And, you know, we talked about some of the other influences. You have Dune in this. There's a heavy Dune component. You've got Game of Thrones with these families that are feuding and fighting. And then you've got MSNBC or like some sort of financial network.
Yeah.
Where you're, I mean, it's like
political intrigue.
They take all the things that are bad from the Phantom Menace and put it into this film.
A little bit.
It's like, hey, the Matrix beat out the Phantom Menace, so let's go and do the Phantom Menace in one of our later big sci-fi epic adventures. It's
problematic on many levels.
Troublesome beyond words.
Except for Eddie Redmayne, I thought it was fascinating.
And I can't even give him a pass, Jared. I can't do it.
I thought he was inspired, but nothing else around him was working.
I thought he was too weird.
That's fine. I mean, the whole film was weird, so was he more weird than the rest of the film?
Kind of.
All right.
Maybe the fact that he was trying so hard and everybody else didn't seem like they were trying made it feel like he was just this crazy outlier.
I think the
crazy Jupiter rising outlier.
I think the problem is in the world building, and I mean it's
Jupiter ascending, Jupiter rising. What the hell am I talking?
There's so much technology and so much gee-whizziness going on here.
Everything, Jared, is gee-whizzing.
There's nothing that we mere humans can really latch onto and understand. We just have to sort of go along for the ride and accept it. And it's really weird how Jupiter, the character, isn't in complete awe about all of this stuff. She's just sort of like there. Whatever.
She even takes time to memorize tax codes or whatever to play some tricks on some of the other people.
So I think
that are trying to take advantage of her.
I think in the context of this really, really bizarre, old, super high-tech world that they're trying to establish, I think the Eddie Redmayne character fits in just fine. His amoralness and, you know, but the problem is we're just not given enough to ground it with, so it seems so out there. But I'm still fascinated by it.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the heart of this, there is a story somewhere that is of interest and could have been done better. But boy, oh boy. You know when I'm frustrated with movies, I say boy, oh boy a lot. And this was a frustrating film. It needed to go back to the drawing board and find that kernel of interest and then build something that we can understand.
I think this was based on a book, and sometimes things just need to stay as books.
Yeah. It seems overly complicated, but then dumbed down, and you've got guys that have surfboard shoes.
Which, strangely enough, they don't take away from you when they incarcerate you. I just thought that was odd.
And with that, let's give it a score.
The Scope score is 1 star.
So 1 star, Jared.
1 star. I got to give you a little crow on this one, I guess.
It's only because of Eddie for you.
Yes.
That's it.
Extra quarter star on that one.
And you felt so strongly about him that I say yes. Let's give him that extra quarter star.
This was on my list of films that I was excited about in summer of 2014, and well, I'm almost curious to see the film that was supposed to come out then, but maybe I'm not that curious.
Maybe it's the same damn film and they just delayed it.
Maybe. It's
Channing Tatum at the end has bird wings. Okay?
What?
He's got bird wings.
Spoilers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's not the craziest thing.
He is a gene splice, though. Come on.
Yeah. Anyway, Jared, tell people how they can communicate with us and interact with this video.
Well, what you need to do is you need to create a super hyper-advanced civilization. You need to create yourself a race of genetically modified carrier beasts.
Okay.
Inscribe your message on a lucite tablet with a very ornate scrollwork handle.
Yep. Sort of a steampunky handle, perhaps?
Send that through a wormhole, and then a portal, and then some sort of light speed thing.
Wow.
I think they had about 17 different ways of traveling in that film. It was very strange.
Did.
Eventually it will land on our desk here at Scope headquarters, and we'll say, hey, thanks for going to the effort. Otherwise, if that's too hard for you, you can like, comment, and subscribe.
Yes, so that would be the key. 1 star, Jupiter ascending, Jared?
Jupiter ascending.
I always call it Jupiter rising.
We can call it Jupiter descending at this point.
Jupiter in the ground. Jupiter 6 feet under.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jupiter Jones. Sorry, Wachowskis. Not your best effort. So for Jared, I am Shane. This is The Scope. We'll be back soon with more movie reviews. Bye for now.
Ladies and gentlemen, we find ourselves once again at the end. I hope you've enjoyed our time together. I know I have. Fear not, Scope faithful. The days shall pass as if they were but a moment. And Jared, Adam, and Shane will return with another thrilling episode. Until then, send your comments to comments@thescopeshow.com or leave a voicemail message by dialing
612-21-SCOPE. That's 612-217-2673.
Thanks for listening, faithful fans. This is Tony Partington saying arrivederci. Tune in next time to another terrific edition of The Scope.